Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Before we get started, we have a couple of announcements.
Hello, everyone. Just a quick announcement for SA. We have our
International Fall Festival.
Yes, International Fall Festival happening on Sunday, all right? It's from 3:30 to 7 p.m. in the gym. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's going to be happening. You want to tell us about some of the activities?
Rumor has it we will have
A petting zoo,
a lot of Hillcrest Market vendors,
a mechanical bull,
a lot of yummy food from a lot of places. Like I saw on there quesadillas, food from France.
Russia.
Yeah, Russia. There was like also tamales in there. So
Yes, you guys do not want to miss out on this. Tell all your friends, your family, everyone's invited, community members, church family, everything. So you all definitely want to come out on Sunday to our International Fall Festival from 3:30 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Are we enjoying the cold weather? Yes, yes. So we're here. Oh, sorry. Go Rangers. Yeah. All right. Now that we have your attention, we have registration coming up. Well, registration already opened, right, guys? So how many of you in this room registered on Friday when I sent out my message? Love you. See? Who else? Nobody else? Wow, guys, you guys are really making me sad. You know, Miss Renika tries to do a lot for you guys. Come on. So it's okay, even though you didn't do it. We have registration happening in the gym next week on the 9th. That's Thursday, from 10:30 to 3. And then we have a special registration for our freshmen on Tuesday, and that would be from 11, I think, till 2. And we'll have some announcements going out, so check your email, check the screens on the videos, on the TVs, and then we're going to have a little surprise for you on the Thursday one. And then Mr. Manny has a special announcement.
Okay. All right, guys. So we are wanting to ramp up for registration, obviously, but there's still some things that are not completed for the previous registration, and we've been reaching out to you. And I know that, money can be nerve-wracking, and you might be nervous or hesitant to come in, but I want to welcome you guys to come in there. We can figure out solutions. Please reply to emails or the text messages, or just stop by the office, because we really want to help you out so that you can continue to, go to school and meet those academic goals that you have. We're doing this as a partnership, so that's why I'm super nervous up here, but I want you guys to know I understand the nervousness to come talk, but let's just have the conversation. Let's figure it out together. Also, I wanted to mention I've had a lot of students asking about their payroll and how the earnings are being distributed. Now, we have a new system, as everybody knows. We know that there's an error in the process, and some of you are probably receiving 100% of your earnings where you think that it's going to your student account, and it is not. So I encourage you to look at your bank account, see what you're getting paid, make sure you're getting paid what you're supposed to, and then take the amount that you're wanting to distribute towards your account and make that as a direct deposit into your account. So it will help reduce that, because right now there's a lot of you that are getting 100% of your earnings, and parents call us and go, why is my balance so high? That's a good reason why. If you have any questions, just come see me, please. Okay?
And guys, just to wrap it up, sorry, one last thing. Just know that we're here to help you guys. I know you guys avoid the Finley building like the plague, but we're really your friends, and we really want to help you succeed. So we want you to focus on finals, so please use the opportunities next week to come into the office and see us so that we can help you get through finances, if it's academics, whatever it may be, okay? And we love you guys. Okay, enjoy assembly.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers.
I believe it's already November. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Your first semester is almost over, and we're really rooting for you guys to finish strong. I know that there are some students that are still coming in, and sometimes it can get harder and harder to come to Assembly towards the end of the semester. We are so glad you're here today to listen to the panel that we have prepared to talk to you. And one of the reasons why this panel is near and dear to my heart, it's because they're part of a club that I belong to, and that is that they are alumni of Southwestern Adventist University. You know, one of the reasons why it's such a personal thing to me to work here and in this capacity is because I'm an alum. And when I first arrived on this campus, it was 1995, and I had never, and I had never, aside from pictures, I had no idea what to expect when I got here. This is before Google, before you could look up websites of different universities, and it was really just word of mouth, people that had told me about Southwestern. And when I got here, it was not what I expected, it was better. And when I went through these years, which I know, you guys are going through some tough times, relationships, you make friends, you get rid of some friends, you form strong bonds, you get to know your professors. Maybe you have some things that happen to you personally. I know that I had some personal struggles that my professors played a very big role in helping me get through sometimes that I look back and I think, you know, that may not have happened on another campus. It happened because I was here. The fact that a professor would wrap their arm around me and say, you know what, everything's going to be okay. Take that extra day that you need. You know, I'm praying for you. Those types of interactions make a difference. And you may not see it now, but when you look back on it, wow, it makes such a huge difference. And the biggest joy in my life has been to be able to do that to help other students as an adult, to be able to give back in that way. And it might be when all of you register and come back and finish your degrees and become alums, maybe some of you will have the opportunity to come back and give back to students that are in that same position. So I want to thank Rosie, our alumni director. She put together a panel. That panel is going to be moderated by our senior pastor, Michael Gibson, who's also an alum, and he's going to introduce the other alums that are here, and we hope that you enjoy this conversation with them.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to everybody else. Okay, yeah, you're here. Good to be with you today. Thank you for this opportunity to share some success stories. I'm going to introduce our panelists further here in a moment. We want to start off with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for your grace, your mercy, and the opportunity we have to assemble. And thank you for Southwestern Adventist University. So we talk a little bit this afternoon about our time at Southwestern and the things that we've learned along the way. I pray, God, that you will translate and transport those words to be a blessing to the students, faculty, and staff that are gathered here. God, we love you and look forward to seeing you soon. In your name I pray. Amen. So start off with introductions. My name is Michael Gibson, senior pastor here at Keene Church. I graduated Southwestern in 2016, not very long ago. And a theology major. I spent a lot of time here in Keene, and Southwestern's very, very near and dear to my heart. And as President Patterson remarked, it's a lot of fun to work with people who have fallen in love with this community and are proud alumni of Southwestern Adventist University. And we have a few of those with us this afternoon. So we'll start with Rosie and then work our way that way. Would you share your name, what you're into now, when you were at Southwestern, maybe a favorite memory, or what you'd like people to know about you?
For those that don't know me, I'm Rosie Arisaga. I'm the alumni director here at Southwestern, and I'm an alum. I graduated in 1997 with an elementary education degree. I've been in education for 26 years, been teaching lower elementary for second grade. I have seen my students graduate from Southwestern already, which is really, really amazing, and have been a principal at North Dallas Adventist Academy for the past 12 years, and now I'm here. And it is really interesting that I get to see this side of education and I get to give back as an alum. And so I relate a lot to what we were talking, and I'm excited for what I can share.
Well, hello, my name is Chris Rhodes. I graduated from Southwestern in 2012, and then I worked here for a few years. And now I'm at Texas Health Hughley. I work in patient experience and leadership development. Favorite story. I really have good memories about traveling around with SWAT. I think it's my favorite thing.
Same.
So my name is Dennis Haslam, and I graduated in '96, I believe. When I'm doubting it, I look at that scoreboard donated by. I'm told that they replaced the scoreboard since then, but they went ahead and left our class up there since that was our class gift back in the day. I will say I've worn several hats through the years. That's just one of the byproducts of not being young anymore. But the constant is being an emergency medicine physician at Texas Health Hughley for the last 18 years and change, as well as getting to be a colleague of Chris's now as the medical director for patient experience.
Thank you guys very much for joining us today. I think we got some questions that'll be up on the screen. I'll read them so you guys can see them. We'll go to the first one here. Thinking of your younger SWAU self, what would be your reaction to your accomplishments and where life has taken you? So think back to that budding freshman that came onto this campus with all the hopes in the world and where you are today. What would your reaction be if you'd known where you'd be?
I can start. I wouldn't have a thought that I would still be here. I came from Mexico, studying here, and I really didn't know where life was going to take me. And, went out, was in other states. The fact that I'm back here, and I'm really happy that I'm back here is, something that I never thought would have happened.
Yeah, I think for me the short answer is no. And I learned, I think, some important lessons along the way that influenced that is I should never tell God what I'm not going to do. Because I graduated from here and I said, okay, I'm done with Southwestern. I worked here for 5 years. Hughley was not on my list anywhere because at the time, it was easy to drive by. I'm not going to work at Hughley. Hughley for 6 years now. I'm not going to work in finance because I really did not like finance and accounting. Just not what my degree was in. Guess where I ended up? Finance and accounting for 6 years. So I think that all stemmed from praying for patience, I think that was my mistake. But I have patience now. But yeah, if I would have told Chris, 10 years ago, more now, I don't even think I could slow him down enough to even talk to him, to be honest. He was all over the place.
Yeah, just looking back, I think that when I was y'all's age, I saw the world a lot more black and white, and I was very specific in what I expected to be able to accomplish and when I would do it, and certainly had every plan to conquer the world. And at this stage in life, I'm trying to ride that balance of being contented, whatever you find yourself in, and at the same time, not get fat and lazy and just quit just because you feel like, okay, well, I've collected enough toys, right? So I think younger me would look at me now and say, why don't you live in a fancier house, or why don't you drive a fancier car, or why don't you do some of these other things? And the current me would say, look, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, but changing my perspective of what is a win has been really important on that journey to contentedness. And I'd give him a big hug and say, look, it's not going to mean a lot to you right now, but I love you, and stay on this journey and keep an open mind. And I feel very, very blessed to be where I am.
I resonate with that, and I think of my own journey. I think about my younger self would probably say to my older self, the little things mattered. how you showed up to your student worker job, how you applied yourself in class. Like the younger me would have theoretically been like, yeah, I know, like those things are important. But then getting to learn about how the small things started to become big things when you began to stack them all together. And I want to encourage you guys that whatever you're applying yourself now is building foundation for the future. Chris, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, and I think there might be some faculty in here that remember me. Please say nice things about me. I think I had a lot of things backwards while I was here, too. I was under the impression, I'm not sure where it came from or how I got it, maybe just being type A, that you could accomplish basically everything you wanted to do on your own, and it didn't matter if you made enemies along the way, because who needs them? I'm going to be successful anyways. And that was so incredibly backwards. Now I realize that, no, to have fulfillment and to find those things that matter, it's only through relationships with people. And I wish, that if I would have known that then, I would have spent a lot more time getting to know people and getting to hear different perspectives on life.
We'll go on to the next one. I think we got question 2. Reflecting on your experiences and career journey, how much of it went as planned? Did you find your calling, and to what extent has God played a role? So, kind of multiple questions there. How much of your journey has gone as planned? Did you find your calling, and what extent did God play in that?
God has been a big part of where I am today. I had a plan of what I wanted to do, and God knew better. And so he closes and opens doors, and I've made it, as my husband does, a couple, we have decided we're just going to let him lead because he knows best. We tried it on our own. It didn't work out. We were not successful, so we just have to let him lead. And so it's been amazing to just let God plan for us and really open those doors. It's very scary because at moments it's situations that you would not expect. Me being here is one of those situations. I've been in, K through 12 education all my life, and for me to have a role like this one is something unexpected for me. But this is where God opened the door for me to be. It was a big jump to be here, and I'm here today. And I can see how God has led the experiences that I had, my failures, my wins, my triumphs. Everything has led me to where I am today. And I know he has a plan for me moving forward, whether it's here or somewhere else. I know he has a plan, and I think my goal has been, use me for the moment that you need me, to reach out to the people that you need me at this moment, and he'll lead. And it's been an amazing journey.
I think my experience is the same, and I'd like to give Pastor Russ a shout. I don't know he's there. He taught me the concept of holding things with loose hands. And I was just, even up probably about 5 years ago is when I was 30. It took me till I was 30 to figure this out. Hopefully I was ahead of the curve, but I don't know. That it's stressful to worry about what the next move is. I spent so much time obsessing about where my career's going. Am I learning the right skills? Am I exposed to the right people? And I'd lose sleep and just worrying about my success, climbing the ladder, what was the next step. And I really, at some point, I just got over that. I was over being stressed, and I started to pray for God to really lead in my life. And simultaneously, probably another divine moment, I had the realization that if I'm going to pray that prayer, I can't also be trying to choose my own way as well. So if doors are going to open, as long as I feel right in here, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna do it, because God knows what's best for me in the long run and what's going to make me the happiest. That's how I ended up in finance and accounting. Did not go to school for that. Learned it on the job. It took me 2 years of not knowing what was going on in that role. But that role led to a position that didn't exist. They created a position just for me, and I absolutely love what I get to do. I get to inspire people to be better every day. I get to meet with patients. I get to be my best self. And that never would have happened if I would have said no to that finance job. And so looking back, not only am I less stressed, but it's been proven time and time again that God knows absolutely what's best for me. So I just need to quit worrying about it and do the best with where I'm at now.
I resonate with that one a lot. That I often found in my journey when I had everything planned and figured out is when I had nothing planned and nothing figured out. That what I thought in my mind was going to be what a relationship was, what a job was going to be, whatever it was, I had to give that over to God in full surrender. So.
Yeah, no, things definitely did not go according to plan for me. I just, a couple weeks ago, went to the American College of Emergency Physicians annual scientific assembly in Philadelphia. It's a bit of a reunion of sorts. You get to hear the best and brightest of emergency medicine speaking on all topics, but you also get to see where your friends from residency and medical school and your previous professors and see what they're doing, hear them lecture. And every time I get back, they're like, wow, you're just hitting it out of the park. Like everything is just going perfectly. And I can see how the last 20 years have gone. It would be easy for someone to see that, like I have so much to be grateful for. But when I was a student here, I would have taken for granted the last 20 years. I mean, like, of course, I'm amazing and everything's going to work out and it's going to be great, right? Who wouldn't want me for whatever? And I ran right into not getting accepted to medical school. So I knew what people's MCAT scores were from the year before. I knew what their GPA was. I knew I was doing better than that in both areas. And kind of arrogant young me thought, I don't even need to apply anywhere else. So I only applied to Loma Linda, and they gave me that polite thanks, but no thanks, we'll keep you on our wait list. And that was not according to plan. That had not been in my plans at all. So it did allow me, I stayed back here. They said, hey, why don't you come study biology, get a PhD, or maybe get a master's and make yourself a more attractive candidate. I was not the least bit interested in studying more science. So I stayed here, took homiletics, got a religion minor, did some other things that were just for fun. And I'd had people telling me, my father included, hey, you need to be a pastor. And others, you need to be a literature evangelist. And before I even graduated from here, I had a job offer to be a publishing director for one of our conferences, which I declined. And then when I was taking my year in the wilderness here, after that first denial, I did go apply to my state schools, was accepted then at both Loma Linda and my state school, but at that point, I had met my wife, who I met here, and we decided, we'd save that extra tuition. We went to Marshall in West Virginia. And while I was there, it's just fascinating to me. I have no idea if this was God planning this or if this was God making the most of the situation, but the skills that I acquired, in particular that homiletics class, our pastor, I won't say which church or when, but had an affair and then just left. Didn't tell anyone at the conference, and right at the end of an evangelistic series left. And the conference found out, we don't have a pastor for next week. And so I went to them and said, look, I'm comfortable preaching. If you need me to preach for the next couple weeks while you find somebody, so be it. But I'm a full-time medical student. So for the next year and a half, I was a pastor of a 2-church district. And I think that left me with a lot of peace. I really enjoyed it. It also left me with a lot of peace that medicine really is what I'm called to do. And so it's been a blessing for me in both ways, in that I got to serve and have lifelong relationships with people. Sweet little lady who's in her 90s now just sent us an anniversary card. We just sent her birthday flowers. Like these are people that we're bonded to for life. That was not according to plan. Whether God preordained it or whether God made something really good come of me being a little imprudent as a young man here, thinking that I was just going to waltz into Loma Linda. I can look at it either way and feel extremely blessed.
You guys talk a little bit about calling and sense of purpose. I think Dennis, you teed it up well that the plan that you had for life didn't go according to plan, but even then you felt grounded in calling and purpose and taking that next step. You guys talk a little bit more about how was your calling and purpose formed by being at Southwestern, and then through the years afterwards, how it's been changed, it's been further edified. Talk a little bit more about calling and purpose.
I think for me it was pretty simple. As an education major, we had the option of get our certifications for working at the public school, working in our church schools, and I decided to do both. You have the option to do both. I didn't feel like, you have to do this or you have to do your student teaching in a certain area. You had the choice. But I think as I visited and did my student teaching in both our Christian schools and our public schools, and I had my experience in both, I had this calling to do mission that whatever I did had to do for a specific reason. And I knew also that if I decided to teach in public school, which I did for a couple of years, my thinking would be very different, and my relationship with God would be very different. So, it was a matter of where I want to stand personally and what I want to do with my life. What I want to do, it was serving. And so in order to do that fully, which you can do in public school too, but in order to do it to the length that I wanted to do it, it was that calling that I got to do our work in our Christian schools.
I'm going to kind of just think out loud, so if it doesn't make sense, help me unpack it. I think, I've spent probably the better part of a decade trying to figure out exactly who I was and who I wanted to be. And I think I finally came to the point, going back to the conversation, or my earlier comment about control, just wanting to control everything and not letting God lead. I would feel called or pulled in a direction, but I wouldn't want that to be my calling, so I would try to force this other direction, and that never ended up well. I think recently, I maybe have found my calling, but I might not know what the purpose is. And I've gotten okay with that because I have that history of God leading, and everything just works. Dr. Haslam said, I'm not the fanciest, don't have the most money, but I've never also been short on money. I've had weird things happen that just click out of nowhere. And I attribute that to following the calling and letting God lead. And now it's to a point where I look back and I spent so much time figuring myself out and so much time overcoming a lot of interpersonal situations and baggage, just life baggage, where I've proven to myself that you can be better and you can work on yourself, you can refine yourself, and now that's my passion and my calling is helping others, one, realize they can be better, and then help them figure out what that looks like for them, and that can be interpersonal, that can be departmental, it can be organizational. I think that's where the passion and purpose and calling is right now. That could change.
I love that. Go.
Well, I would say there are two things that come to mind when I think about how being at Southwestern influenced me. One would be student missions. Tina Botsford was running it back then, and she was just such a wonderful mentor. I ended up going to the academy where her sister had been in Ecuador, and that, for a kid who took a couple of years of High school French completely changed my life. And being involved in, being what I would say is conversant in Spanish. I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but it's just, when I got back here, La Señora Arauzo took me under her wing and really helped me with Spanish to grow from there. We've been on mission trips to Honduras, Mexico, Colombia multiple times, Peru, Ecuador, Argentina, Paraguay. Like, it became a huge part of my life after that. And so I have this, had I not gone to Ecuador, I don't think any of those would have ever happened. And the second thing I would say is, attitude is free. That's a t-shirt some of you will see me wear sometimes. And the way you choose to look at being on a smaller campus, some people choose to look at, well, we don't have these bells or whistles, or there are certain resources that we may not have here. The way I choose to look at it, and has really impacted me, is you have an outsized opportunity to lead here. And so on this campus, the opportunity to get in physical and mental reps in leadership and being a leader on campus, you'll have opportunities here that you won't have elsewhere that will serve you the rest of your life. And I would be remiss if I did not say, I feel very blessed because I have a heart for my alma mater. I feel very blessed to have President Patterson in this role because I believe in her heart, I believe in her vision, and I'm just so excited that you guys have her shepherding our school into the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Let's go on to the third question. To what extent is work-life balance possible? What does it look like, and how do you achieve it? That is an ongoing, eternal question.
I'll just go ahead and say, I don't mind jumping straight in on this one because one of the things that I lead out on our medical staff is a group of physicians. We get together in an informal setting. It's called Finding Meaning in Medicine. And this has been one of our topics, is work-life balance. And medicine is a field where, look, I had a conversation with someone recently who said, it's not worth it to my family to keep this job. I never see my husband, I never see my children. And I said, well, if this is not a short-term goal that gets you to a longer-term goal, I would agree with you. When I was in residency on the trauma service, I wasn't going to see my wife or newborn baby. We knew it. And yet, would I go back and tell me back then, oh, it's just not worth it to not see your wife and child for a couple months on this service? No, I wouldn't. I think it was worth it. And so I think that work-life balance, it is very important, the lens you look at it through. And so if you think that you're going to be perfectly balanced in the time you spend at work and the time you spend at home, or if you spend a higher percentage of time at home than at work, that's not what is possible for most of us. I think that what is a more useful model is to look at it as balancing your priorities, and there will be seasons when you need to really drill down on work, and there are going to be seasons where you really need to lean into that family vacation, and you need to lean into those habits like family time every Friday night or whatever the case may be. And so I think that if you look at it as I'm going to perfectly balance the amount of time I'm at work and the time that I'm at home and the time that I have a relationship with each and every other person, you're setting yourself up for a very frustrating existence. But if you look at it as there are seasons when you have to prioritize one a little more, but you're always aware of how you're balancing all of the different things, I think that that gives you the greatest opportunity for fulfillment and feeling like we're having success in what we call work-life balance.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think having proper expectations about what it looks like and the season things. Like before we had a kid, we had our first baby 6 months ago, and work late all the time, go in early, work out 5 days a week. That this really changes things. And so that was previous balance. Now I want to get home at 5. I want to get home on time in the evening so I can spend time with the family because I didn't really have one before. What does that take? Okay, in my role, I can still show up to work a bit earlier, so I'll go in a little bit earlier, and I'll find ways to make everything fit. But then also realize there is no clean break, like what Dr. Haslam said. It's all intertwined. And I think now that I'm to a point where I thoroughly enjoy what I do, I don't have that feeling of trying to make a clean break. I think that really matters. If you found something that you just love to do, you don't have that sense of dread or trying to find that reprieve because it's all intertwined, and you can find joy in all of it.
Something one of my mentors told me is that the work-life balance is not an either-or game, it's a both-and. Because if you try to do either-or, you set your work as an enemy to your family, and your family as an enemy to your work. And so you've got to figure out the way to do both. And like what Dr. Haslam said, there's going to be seasons you lean in one direction, seasons that you lean in another. And so you've got to look at it not necessarily a day-to-day balance, but a lifetime of balance.
And I will say there is definitely a season to grind, like on the front end. Like you're going to have to grind to get to the point where you can have both and, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Got another question? Maybe. I think this will be the last one that we share with you this afternoon. What knowledge or skills would have been helpful to learn sooner, maybe in your Southwestern Adventist University years? Which skills do you wish you had sooner?
I think they touched a little bit on that. To me, while being here, I'm a pastor's kid, administrative pastor's kid. So when I came over here, I did not want it to be known as the pastor's kid, and it was a very political part of it, so I decided I'm not even going to use my name. And so I don't even let people know who my father is because I did not want that influencing anything I did in our Hispanic world. So when I got here, I just don't want to do anything with anybody. I want to do it on my own. I failed to create the relationships I needed with our alums, with our professors, with the people that could have been my mentors, that could have guided me throughout my life. And I see that now as a principal hiring students from SWAU that had made those relationships, that had networked, that had made sure they had those mentors while being here at Southwestern. And I saw that relationship and how it helped them as first-year teachers at our schools and how important that was. Looking back, I go and think, I should have done that. I should have had developed those relationships that would have helped me later in life. I should have paid attention to our alums visiting, to our talks, to people, and I knew they were there, but I chose not to create those relationships. I wish I should have. And I think, SWAU does an excellent job of creating those opportunities for you to have those relationships, and I'm happy that I'm not in a role that I can create those opportunities for you.
I'm going to do a yes and on that. I agree with 100% of that. I'm going to tack on learning how to listen and truly understand other people's opinions and messages. I was so busy just living my own life and trying to do what I want to do that I would write anybody off who disagreed with me or had anything to say. And I think if you would ask my current boss, one of the only reasons I have the role I do is because she told me, you're just so good at listening. Like, I really feel like you are taking the time to understand people when you go meet with them, and you're taking time to hear them out so they feel validated and heard. And I think that's just that active listening skill makes a huge difference. It's the difference between making somebody feel like you care about them as an individual or you're just using them for some transaction.
So I see a few familiar faces here. So I know some of you know one of my most rewarding hobbies currently is I get to coach the Chisholm Trail Academy Lady Blazers in basketball. And so I'm sure that they are quite tired of hearing my truisms, mottos, cliches, whatever it might be. But I think that there's a reason why a lot of those have survived through the years, and it's because there's a lot of wisdom in them. One thing that I wish I had learned back here that has been a lifelong struggle is I'm often a slave to the urgent. I run from one emergency to the next in the emergency department. Had a shift recently where I felt like I couldn't finish a thought before the nurse was coming and saying, hey, there's this other really sick patient that needs your attention right now. And unfortunately, while that is part of the job description in the emergency department, it doesn't need to be in the rest of my life, and yet I made it that way for so long. And so you may have big-term, long-term goals like getting a degree here or maybe even a postgraduate degree later, but if you are living from emergency to emergency, if you are living from overnighter because I have to pass this test that I didn't study for to overnighter, you're just shortchanging yourself and whoever you're going to be serving in the future in whatever job you're preparing for. And so they say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. If you're asked, how do you eat an elephant? Does anybody remember that one? There you go, amen. One bite at a time. Finding a way to prioritize that next step, finding a way to prioritize that next bite and make things feel urgent to you so you get them done so that you won't be a victim or held hostage by so many emergencies. That would be something that I would really like to have learned when I was here.
I love it. I love it. Can we give it up for our panelists this afternoon? Thank you for your wisdom and for your insight. And I just want to give you an encouragement. Though the journey seems long now, in a blink and in an instant, I know everybody that's sitting up here with me can attest to that, Southwestern will be in your rear view mirror. So take every opportunity you have to enjoy the moment and the time that you have here at Southwestern Adventist University. Pastor Russ, is there anything we need to do this afternoon? Or Rosie, do we have? Okay. Can we have everybody stand? We'll finish off with a prayer. And Chris, would you mind praying a prayer of blessing over these students, faculty, and staff?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather with current students and former students. Thank you for the nice, cool weather that we have. Pray blessings on each and every one of these students as they go into the holidays and the test seasons, and please be with all of their ambitions and be real in their lives. Lord, be with each and every one of us in our personal lives, and please come soon. Amen.
Go in grace, go in peace.